Welcome to the Strategic Management course. So this is the lesson number one, Introduction to Strategy. So in this lesson, what we are going to discuss is given in this outline. We will explain the meaning of strategy and the characteristics of strategic decisions, strategy camps, and then strategic management, which is of course the major area in this course when it comes to your syllabus, and the levels of strategies available, and the strategic drift. So let's start with defining the strategy by giving a kind of a explanation provided by Joel Ross and Michael Kenny. So they told without a strategy, the organization is like a ship without a rudder. So if you do not have a rudder to a ship, the sailor is not in a position to navigate the ship to the desired destination. So, like that, if you do not have a strategy for the organization, you will be ended up in nowhere. So, for the organization to achieve its final destination, or rather vision, mission, objectives, what what is really helpful is basically the strategy according to this idea. So, let's look at some of the leading scholars what they have told about strategy. So, if I go first to the Alfred Chandler, uh, so he is basically telling uh, strategy is a kind of a step-by-step process that we have to develop. So he has taken somewhere like A to Z. Okay, starting from A, so you are ending up with a Z. And for that, you are using a kind of a long-term goals and long-term objectives. And then the organization is engaging with developing how you are going to achieve that particular long-term objective. And you are very much committed as an organization, and you are using and allocating your resources regarding how you are going to achieve that goals. So it's a kind of a step-by-step process, one after another, that you are moving towards the strategy. Let's look at Henry Mintzberg. He told strategy is a pattern in a stream of decisions, particularly when you look at the strategy from an entrepreneurial perspective. Entrepreneurs may not be developing very comprehensive plans. So the strategies are basically emerging out of their business experience. So when you take a series of decisions that an entrepreneur or a business manager may have taken, so what is common in there? So that is something emerging out of your experience. Michael Porter is telling strategy is all about trying to be more different. So you have to deliberately choose a kind of activities for you to be different from rest of the other competition. So for Michael Porter, strategy is all about competitive strategy. So these are the different explanations. You can read on these different explanations provided. So as I told you earlier, Alfred Chandler is basically looking at a logical flow. A to Z, how we are moving from A to Z with a concrete plan. Michael Porter is basically talking about how you can create a unique position for your organization. Henry Mintzberg highlighted it as something that is emerging out of your experience. When we look at the textbook, which is recommended for your course called the Exploring Strategy, so in that book, a comprehensive definition is provided. So what they say, strategy is basically consisting of three main terms: the direction, scope, and long term. So direction means what? Direction means in the organization, you can see the vision, mission, and their corporate objectives and corporate goals and corporate values are there, and altogether we can call it the purpose. So that is what you are trying to aim, trying to achieve at the end of the day. So that is the direction. Scope means scope in organization means actually two things. What are the activities you do in the organization, and what are the markets that you're operating in? Long term means you can't define the long term by looking at the number of years. What we need to think about here is how much of time that you particularly need for you to change the scope of the organization from one level to another level. So, very briefly, strategy is what? In the long run, what is your direction and what is your scope? And then you can see the explanation has expanded here, which achieves advantage. So strategy can be used for achieving a competitive advantage. How it happens? Through configuration of your resources. You need physical resources, you need charm, you need talents, you need information, you need tangible, intangible resources, and even competencies you need. So you have to mix up all these things and you have to coordinate all these things in order to develop a strategy. And also these things are happening in a challenging environment, particularly the business environment. Shortly, we can call it as a VUCA environment, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So because of these, business managers have to consider the dynamism in the environment when you are developing a business strategy. Ultimately, your strategy, through that, you should be able to achieve the requirements of your marketplace. That means your customers. Plus, you have a very big stakeholder community that you have to deal with and you have to satisfy from your organization's activities. So, all in all, you can see here there are several words which are bold in this definition provided in the Exploring Strategy textbook. So, these bold words, even it has been explained in here in this lecture note, you can see that for your reference. So these bold words are reflecting actually the characteristics of the strategic decisions. So strategy is basically long-term in nature. It talks about the overall scope of the organization. Plus, it talks about how you can gain a competitive advantage. It talks about how you are addressing the dynamism in the business environment. Plus, it builds on the resources and the competencies, capabilities in the organization. And finally, it will be meeting the needs of the marketplace and particularly the needs of the stakeholder community. So these are the characteristics of strategic decisions. So strategy, in another way, you can explain it actually, it is the link, you can see the link, the middle one here, link between the organization and the industry. So the industry change a lot. Even the perspectives, competitors, customers, suppliers, all these things are changing a lot. So what you have to do as organization, based on these changes in the in the external environment, industry environment, you have to change your internal environment. And for that, what is helpful is basically the strategy. And when you look into the literature in more detail in the area of strategic management, now you see, I explained to you the deliberate view of strategy by looking at the Alfred Chandler. So it's a kind of a logical flow, right? So A to Z, you have to plan and then move forward, right? So you have to come up with a very good strategic plan. So for example, if you take most of the organizations, Monday morning, they are conducting a lot of meetings and they discuss how you are going to do things. A deliberate, kind of exercise is there. But can you do all these things the deliberate way? No. So you have to think about the Mintzberg explanation, Henry Mintzberg explanation, emergent view. Right? Some of the things that we have planned, because of the dynamism in the environment, we can't do it or we can't execute as we plan. So we have to combine the two. So strategic management can be considered as a kind of combination between deliberate view and the emergent view, and that is really reflected in most of the decision makings which are taken place in the corporate world. Now, what is the strategy camps? So it is basically a kind of initiatives that has been available in the literature to look into the strategy from different perspectives, right? Now, one camp of people are arguing strategy means we're doing something new. So if an entrepreneur come up with a very new thing to the marketplace, okay, so that can be considered as a strategic initiative. So it can be creating a new market space, right? Now, for example, low budget airlines, which has been started by organizations like Southwest Airlines, right? And then come up with a blue ocean strategy. So like that, if something new happening, that is a strategic idea. Another set of people told, no, it's not the case. You have to build on what you already do. So you have been doing something, and then you have to excel what you are doing over the years with your experience, with developing your competencies, that can be considered as another camp of strategy, right? So, for example, you can find your next core business out of what you are doing. Well, right now, you may be a confectionery manufacturing organization, but you may find, okay, what about starting, you know, drinking bottle manufacturing? So it can be another initiative which extend from what you have been doing already, right? The third camp, reacting opportunistically to emerging possibilities. That is basically looking at the strategy from an entrepreneurial perspective. Okay? So there we are looking at, okay, business opportunities are rising in the business environment, even during a crisis situation, even during the dynamics which are happening. So let's come up with something very new by looking at the opportunity and to capitalize those opportunities. So that's another strategy camp available. So you see different strategy camps are there are available in the literature. So why strategy is important? I think now the question is the idea is very much clear. So if without strategy, how can you achieve your targets, final destination, right? So managers have to proactively shape the business in order to move forward and to be more competitive and to achieve more higher performance. And also strategy provide a very good systematic approach to deal with the uncertainties. Right? Otherwise, people will tend to do things in on an ad hoc basis. To avoid that, you need a strategy, and also to coordinate and focus your employees and even all the other stakeholders together with a more holistic approach. You need a strategy. So let's move into the strategic management. Right? So the strategic management means actually we are looking at the strategy development process into three elements. So here there are three areas to focus on, or rather three questions to answer. What is the company's present situation? Where does the company need to go from here? And how should it go there? Right? So what is your current situation and what you really want to achieve and how you are going to achieve that? Right? So fundamentally, in the literature, it says it's about strategic position, the number one, and then making strategic choices, and then strategy into action. Right? So these three are explained here. What is strategic position? You are really want to uh, analyze your current position internally as well as externally, right? So external analysis, internal analysis is here in the strategic position. And the strategic choices based on your analysis, now you have to develop the strategies at different levels, right? So I will talk about these different levels in a minute, right? So then you have choices, right? So you remember Michael Porter told strategy is all about being different. So many options are there. You have to select one option for you to be successful, and you don't need to do everything. You have to be very selective in what you do. And then the third one, strategy into action. So that's basically about the implementation. So where you need to have good structure, good system, right? And then good strategy. And these three things should work hand in hand, right? Okay, so the components that are included in each of these elements are available here. So on the strategic position in the syllabus, we are looking at the external environment, internal environment, organization culture, and even the purpose. Under strategic choices, we are looking at different strategy levels: corporate, business, international, strategy methods, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Right? And then strategy into action or to the practice. Now here, you see, it's basically about the performance and evaluation. So you have to looking to evaluate the performance at the end of the day, and how you are organizing the things, and how you have to manage the change, and then how to, work the strategy into the practice. So these are the three main elements of strategic management. So these are the different levels of strategies, right? The top level we call corporate level, then business level, and then the functional level. So let's look into each of these very briefly because we are having separate lessons for each of these areas. What is corporate level? Corporate level talks about as an organization, most of the bigger companies, when you take conglomerates, so they are a collection of different SBUs, strategic business units, right? So then, if you think about how to expand these units, how to add a new unit, how to divest a unit which is not profitable. Right? So that's basically about corporate level. It talks about the growth of the organization, how to grow your organization by adding new parts and by removing the unprofitable businesses. Right? What is business level? If you take a strategic business unit which is available in your organization, how that SBU or strategic business unit is going to compete with its relevant competitors. So business level is all about what? How to compete. What is functional level? So that's basically the functional arrangement, functional departmental arrangements in your organization into finance, HR, marketing, operation like that, even R&D at different departments in order to deliver the corporate and business level strategies. Because this is in the lower level. So you have the top level, corporate and business level. So what you do in your functional level to contribute to corporate and business level. So these are the levels of strategies that we will be discussing in our future lessons to be done. What is the challenge for strategic management? Main challenge, as I told you earlier, the difficulty of combining the internal and the external environment. And that is what strategy is basically aiming at the end, as I told you earlier. So strategy is basically connecting the two. So the inability to connect these two and expansion of the gap between internal and the external environment is the main challenge. And that situation we call strategic drift, where we are moving away from the environmental dynamism. So we become more outdated organization. Right? And this is really a big challenge. Why? When you look at the contemporary issues that are available in the business world, a lot of changes are there. Internationalization, globalization, even deglobalization, e-commerce developments, a lot of changes, practices are changing, geopolitical changes are there. So it's very easy for a business to be more strategically different compared to the past. Easily you can be drifted. So what you need to do, you have to be more strategic. Agility has to be improved. Right? Your organization should improve the ability to take up these challenges and to deal with these challenges and shift very quickly to the next stage and to be more competitive. It's not easy. So you have to thoroughly analyze the business environment and see the potentials for the developments. Right? So this is graphically explained here. You can see it. Now here, these are the different phases of the organization based on the time that you can have, right? And then amount to change. So you see here, the environmental change is gradually going up. My environment is gradually changing. But what about the organization, right? It has been actually not moving faster compared to the environmental. Now here you see now the gap has enhanced. Now when you come to this stage, the flux stage, the gap has widened. Now look at this particular stage. Now where you can see a very big gap between the organization and the environment. So the easiest thing is you have to go down and you have to divest the organization. You have to die as an organization. Now we call it organizational demise. But if you are having a good strategic leadership and if you're more innovative and if you want to do something, you have to go up. Right? So this is where we have to fill the strategic gap available and to make a transformational change in your organization. Right? So you may remember companies like Kodak, right? Even they have been a giant organization in the photography industry, but they have been out of the business. So they couldn't move up with the digital cameras and digital world. Nokia also same. So they have been trying a lot to come back to the, Android phones and even the Apple is dominating, but they couldn't do it because they were too late to, join with the new communication world, right? But I think they didn't do anything wrong, right? What they what they did is actually they stick to or they stuck with their main business. And then what happened? Environment changed, the technology changed, but they couldn't move forward. And that is where the strategic drifting is happening. So, as a corporate level manager, as a strategist, your main challenge is to avoid the strategic drift, which can happen in an organization. So, strategies have to be evolved. Why? Environmental dynamism is there. So, strategy has to be a work in progress. A lot of changes are happening, and a lot of changes actually necessitates the the concept of strategy is a work in progress. Shifting market conditions, technological breakthroughs. You can see artificial intelligence is making most of the currently available businesses, out of the business. So you have to be very, very carefully. You need to look into that. And then fresh moves of your competitors, so they come up with a lot of new products, new services, and evolving customer preferences are there, right? Customer requirements are changing. The needs are basically changing. So then emerging market opportunities are there, new ideas to improve strategies are there, and the crisis situations are happening. So all these things are actually necessitate or motivate basically uh, the movement towards having a more agile strategy. So strategy is a work in progress. You can't just say, okay, our strategy development is done today, so the things are done, things are over, so you can't do that. Why? The environment is changing and you have to keep on changing what you have been doing, right? Okay, what makes a strategy winner? How we can develop a good strategy? You remember the first step in the strategic management process is all about uh, position, strategic position that you have to analyze. So how far your strategy fit into that particular position? So you have to develop a strategy which is fitting with your internal and external environment. So that is number one. What is number two? The strategy that you have developed should be able to facilitate attain a sustainable competitive advantage, a durable competitive advantage. Right? So strategy, of course, a long-term phenomena, right? So because of that, your strategy that you are developing should give you a sustainable competitive advantage. Plus, the strategy has to result in better company performance, right? So better, when you say better company performance, it is not only financial performance, even non-financial performance is significant, right? So this is graphically reflected in here. So we have to have a good vision, we have to have a good understanding of our competitive environment, and we have to have good appraisal understanding of our capabilities. And with that, if you can have very good implementation, definitely we can develop a successful strategy. So that is basically how you can build up a successful strategy in order to be more competitive and to generate more higher performance in the organization. So let's summarize what we discuss here. So we talk and we define the meaning of strategy and then characteristics of strategic decisions, strategic camps, and then we talk about strategic management as a process where it has three elements: uh, strategic position, strategic choices, and strategy interaction, and then levels of strategy. There are three levels of strategy that we discuss: corporate level, business level, and the functional level. And finally, we talked about strategic drift. What is strategic drift? Making our organization, right, more updated in line with the environmental dynamism which is happening. So this is our introductory lesson, right? I hope you got a good understanding about the introductory lesson. So then we will meet once again with our next lesson to be done. Thank you.